Hi everyone, Shannon with Apogee the Moon, and I am back with a weekly forecast for you. This is for June 26th all the way through July 2nd. So for those of you that are celebrating birthdays this week, happy birthday, happy solar return. I hope it is everything that you could ever want, right? And this year, if you're celebrating at all during this week, you're going to have a new moon in your solar return chart for the year ahead. New moons in solar return charts, and I'll just go over this really quick before we dive into what's happening other than the new moon, is new beginnings, letting go of the old and beginning something brand new in your life. So for some of you, this is going to happen in your solar return. You're going to have the waning dark moon. Some of you are going to have the waxing new moon, and so some of you are going to be letting go in really big ways because this is in square to Jupiter, and some of you are going to be beginning something new and exciting and really big in big ways, right? So let's jump into the rest of the forecast, and then we will go through all 12 signs, and then you can get on with the rest of your day, right? Okay, so starting on the 27th, we do have Mars coming into a really nice sextile with Saturn. I love Mars when it's making positive aspects to Saturn. When Mars is in sextile to Saturn, this is an opportunity. Mars is strong in its home sign of Aries, so taking action, going for things, doing what you want to do, talking about the things you want to talk about, making leaps and bounds in your physical appearance if that's something that you're working on, but also just taking action. This Mars in Aries is very much kind of the same energy of taking action and doing things. And then sextile to Saturn, Saturn is also in a home sign, a traditional rulership of Aquarius, and so this can mean that we're taking action in a very diligent, very methodical, very calculated way. And it's a positive, right? Because this is a sextile. Sextiles are aspects that you need to seize hold of. Sextiles are aspects that you need to work with someone, or seize some type of opportunity that is available to you. So if you work at it, the best description that I have found thus far is something recently that I read was, if you seize the benefits, if you seize hold of the opportunity of the sextile, you will reap the benefit of the trine. And I absolutely love that. That just resonated so deeply with me. So I figured I'd share that with you as well, because we're all on this astrological journey together. And so that's what's going on with Mars and sextile with Saturn. This is an opportunity to take next right steps, to be diligent and have fortitude and longevity in whatever it is that you want to create, whatever it is that you want to start. So that is that. And then we have on the 28th, we have several things going on. Biggest thing is the new moon in square with Jupiter and Aries. I don't necessarily know if I don't necessarily know if I like this. I like this, but I don't like this at the same time, and we'll get into the why. But first, I also want to talk about the fact that Neptune is stationing retrograde on this same day. So this is kind of surrounding this new moon, this lunation cycle of things that are hidden, things that are revealed, things that are kind of nebulous and ephemeral. I'm not really sure, but it's something beyond. It's something that is very intangible. It's an intuition. It's a feeling. It's something is going on here with Neptune stationing, and we've been feeling this one for a while. This is an outer planet. We've been feeling this one the whole month, okay? So this kind of jumpiness, this edginess, this feeling that the other shoe is about to drop, this feeling of, like, what is this? Like, there's an undercurrent here. There's something going on. What is this? That's Neptune stationing, just so everyone is aware. And then we do have also, before I talk about the new moon, we have Jupiter coming into a really nice sextile, or Venus, I should say, coming into a really nice sextile with Jupiter, because an inner planet is the one that makes the aspect. The outer planet is the one that has more impact. So Venus in sextile with Jupiter, these are both benefic planets. These are the two benefic planets of, the skies above. So as above, so below. Jupiter, in Aries is kind of expanding on all things Martian, expanding on taking action, expanding on doing things, expanding on creative energies, because most people think that Aries is a hothead. Yeah, Aries can be a hothead. It just depends. But Aries is very creative energy. It's a cardinal fire sign. Fire is all about creation. It's all about initiation and starting something, especially here with Aries. With Venus and Gemini is very tactile, is very talkative. So this could be a lot of communication in really big ways about things that are being initiated, about things that maybe need to be adapted to and changed to in our lives in some way, shape, or form. So this is something, that is underlying as well at this new moon, because both of these things are happening on the same day as the new moon. It's carrying through that energy for the lunation cycle. Now, the new moon itself, the only major aspects that it's making is a square to Jupiter. However, this new moon is conjunct a point in the sky called the black moon Lilith, or the apogee of the moon. Ironic, I know, right? The apogee of the moon is the furthest point that the moon will get from Earth. Okay, so we have the apogee, we have the perigee. We just had the perigee moon in Sagittarius. That full moon, that strawberry full moon, was at its closest point. So whatever was illuminated for us there, now we're kind of coming back down. We're releasing that energy. We're coming back down. We're starting a new cycle, and we're really reevaluating what it is that we care about, what it is that we need to nurture ourselves, right? Because the moon is in its home sign in Cancer. This new moon in Cancer is bringing in all the significations of Cancer itself. And so with the sun here illuminating Cancer, this is highlighting the need to take care of people, to either take care of ourselves, to nurture, to nourish ourselves, right? Or to nurture and nourish other people. This is what Cancer is all about. With this moon at apogee, there's going to be a few different things. The apogee, in my observation, as I've been watching it, traverse the, for the last couple of years, and looking at it in people's charts and seeing, is it, sexual energy? Yes. Unfortunately, because people make it that. However, what I find with this is that this is innate energy that we have. Wherever this is in your own personal chart, this is where you have a great creative energy, because the apogee of the moon is the seat between the conscious and the unconscious. It's the bridge between the two, right? So if we're looking at it from a psychological standpoint, that's what it is. If we're looking at it from a physical, tangible standpoint, what this can mean is that there's something that happens, or something that needs to be released, or something that needs to be started, or something that is being initiated, because again, Cancer is a cardinal sign. It is creative energy. It's nurturing energy as well. So whatever is being created here, whatever is being seeded here at this new moon in Cancer, is going to have long-standing effects. It might take a long time to come to fruition, or it might have been a long time coming to let something go here in this part of our charts. Now, in square to Jupiter, this is happening in a really big way. Squares to Jupiter can they overexpand everything, right? Jupiter is a planet of expansion, of abundance, of luck, of beneficial energy, benevolence, teachers, lawmakers, right? These are all seen by the planet of Jupiter. So Jupiter in Aries, however, is expanding on all things Aries. This is expanding on the creative energies that are out and about and available for us to seize hold of, and wherever this shows up in your chart, this is definitely expanding on that more Martian, more Aries, more action-oriented and taking action and doing things. There can be, wherever this is happening in your chart, can overexpand and kind of overdo, right? So we're going to have to at some point come back into balance with the overdoing part of it in our charts. All right, I'm just going to say that. So then on July 1st, we do have kind of a nasty aspect that's been building all week, and this is the Mars in Aries square Pluto in Capricorn. This energy is very intense. And with Mars in a home sign squaring Pluto in Capricorn, I mean, this could see riots. This could see, I mean, this energy is really super intense. So, I mean, yes, riots. This could see violence of some kind. This is definitely an action-oriented, cutthroat kind of energy. So be aware of that. Be conscious of that. And try to keep your head with this energy, because this energy is nastiness. Good things can happen from it, yes, but this energy of Mars in square with Pluto is it doesn't usually shape up to be the nicest in the moment, for sure. And then on the 2nd, we do have Mercury in trine with Saturn. And Mercury in trine with Saturn, this is really great for grounded communication. This is really great for, you know, communication of all kinds, because Saturn is in a traditional rulership. It's strong. Mercury is in you know, Gemini, traditional rulership, regular rulership, whatever you want to say. And it's also strong in the sky. And so what this can mean, like I said, grounded communication, being able to speak to or speak about something with wisdom. And this also means that there could be conversations about long-term goals, long-term plans, you know, conversations with neighbors, conversations with friends, conversations about the community that you live in, things like that. And then Mercury, it will also be in square with Neptune on this day, which is not the nicest of energies. You know, like we had that, what was it, when the sun came through here and was doing the same exact thing. Now we have Mercury. And so now it's not just energetically that we're sensing this and, you know, in our egos and all of that. Now it's in our mind, and now we're understanding, okay, this is what this means. This is the implications that are from what was going on here, and now I need to think about this, and there's something underlying, there's some undercurrent that's happening, something that could be very confusing. Maybe you're trying to get things done, you're trying to have those conversations, and things are just kind of weird and wonky, and that's what's going on. So that is what I have for the general forecast. And now we will get into how I'm going to talk about the new moon. I can't find my mouse. We're going to talk about the new moon, and we're going to talk about how that is affecting everyone's chart. So for Aries and for Aries rising, this new moon is happening in your 4th house of home, family, property, where you live, right? This is also your parents or who it is that you're coming home to. This is kind of the dark part of the chart where this is where you come home to lay your head, right? This is where you live. This is your property. Jupiter in square from the 1st house could mean that you're overdoing things. I mean, this could even be some of you initiating a move or initiating something to do with moving or, you know, property of some kind, or initiating something on the home front. Mars still is here in Aries, so this could definitely be some interesting energy around I'm just thinking too of that square later in the week, sorry, to Pluto. Yeah, this is not the nicest of energies coming up for you guys with the square to Pluto, but for right now, this new moon, like, there could definitely be something that's initiated at this new moon or seated at this new moon to do with property, to do with maybe even moving, to do with you know, something that, or even a spiritual, maybe you're starting a spiritual business at home. You know, Jupiter does rule Pisces, which is your 12th house. It's in your 1st house. So you initiating some type of spiritual regime, spiritual. I don't have my words today, guys. Some type of spiritual regime or some type of spiritual practice on the home front. That could be something here too. This could also be the initiation of learning something, maybe even learning about real estate, learning about different things, right? I mean, there's any number of ways that this can play out depending on how it hits your chart. But this is definitely a new beginning, something to do with the home, something to do with the family, and it's being initiated in a really big way. Now, because I mentioned it, I do want to mention that later in the week with that square to Mars in square with Saturn, this is not going to be the nicest energy in terms of your career, your public standing, your public reputation. You could be feeling very fired up and very angry, maybe. There could be power and control issues to do with your career, your public standing, your public reputation. There could be, just be aware, be conscious of whether or not you are the one that is being cutthroat or out of control, or if this is someone else. Because this Pluto square, or Mars in square with Pluto in general, is a very cutthroat energy. It's not a nice energy at all. So that's what I have for that. For Aries. And then for Taurus and for Taurus rising, this new moon is happening in your third house of your community, the place, your siblings, your cousins, your extended family members, your vehicles, even your commerce, because the third house is also associated with commerce. And so this happening in square with Jupiter, there could be some really big conversations that are seated at this time. With Jupiter being in the 12th house, this could be very private conversations about something to do with debt or joint finances or something like that. That's what this could be, because Jupiter does rule your 8th house, and so there could definitely be some private behind-the-scenes conversations about that. There could be deep healing going on even with Jupiter in the 12th house in square with this new moon, like having very deep, very profound healing conversations with people. That can show up too, just because Jupiter is a planet of of benevolence. It likes to be in the 12th house, so just know that could be too. But it could also be very intense at the same time, right? Like really intense, because it is Jupiter, and Jupiter kind of expands everything it touches. This could be even like really intense behind-the-scenes conversations with friends. It could be things like that as well for you. And I did talk about Pluto squaring Mars. This is happening in your 12th to your 9th house, so there could definitely be conflicts going on, or hidden there could be issues. Oh, just be careful, please. Like, be very careful. There could be hidden issues with institutions going on. This is not the nicest energy. Hopefully, none of you, knock on wood, are not in hospital or anything like that. This is not the nicest energy for that. This could be, if you're scheduled for surgery, or you have to have surgery, or there's some type of, I just don't like it for Taurus risings in particular, just because, Mars in the 12th house and squaring Pluto in the 9th house. This could be mishaps with travel. This could be, power and control issues with institutions, power and control issues with hospitals, power and control issues with educational teachers, or like the institution of like a college itself. There could definitely be some scratchy energy on that, just so you're aware. So that's what I have for Taurus. And then for Gemini and for Gemini rising, this new moon is happening in your 2nd house of finance and money and values, your value system, what it is that you spend your money on. And this is squaring Jupiter, in the 11th house of friends, networks, people that you associate with by choice. So for you, this could definitely be maybe a little bit of overindulgence in the spending, or this could be a new spending habit that kind of like expands, like that escalated quickly, right? Situations like that could arise here. It's not the worst thing in the world because, you know, obviously this is Jupiter. It's not going to bring anything that's tangibly bad. It's just going to expand on different things. This could also be, you know, joining a cause of some kind and spending money on something that you're really passionate about, something that you truly, truly believe in at the deep core of who you are, and like an altruistic, like a humanitarian kind of thing, right? Because Jupiter is a benefic planet. It is in the 11th house of, you know, humanitarian pursuits and philanthropy and all of that. So that can be seen by spending, you know, your money or a new beginning in terms of you even working for or making money. Maybe this is how you're going to make your money going forward. That could be something here for you as well. Later in the week, we are going to have Mars squaring Jupiter. This is happening in your 11th and in your 8th house. And so debt, taxes, joint finances, like just be careful lending money or getting a loan. Like this is not necessarily the time for you to be lending your friends money at all, because there could definitely be some crunchiness with that. So just be aware of that. This can also be, you know, this could also be arguments with friends about money. This could be arguments over, you know, joint resources, taxes, inheritances, insurances, things like that. So just be aware and be conscious of whether or not you're the one that's being cutthroat and just being like over the top, or if this is an outside influence coming in, right? So one way or the other, just prepare. Okay. And then for Cancer and for Cancer rising, happy birthday, Cancers. I love my Cancers. I'm celebrating my birthday here coming up in a couple of weeks. So getting super excited for that. It's a big one. And yeah, it's a big one. Hitting the big 4-0. No, it's all good. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't all good. So anyway, so this is happening for you, Cancer. You know, this is happening in your first house if you're a Cancer ascendant. You know, if you're a Cancer sun or a Cancer moon, there's still going to be some really positive things going on here for you. But for you specifically as a Cancer, this new moon is new beginnings for you. New beginnings in your attitudes, new beginnings in all areas of your life. And in square with Jupiter, this is happening in a really big way to do with your career, your public standing, your public reputation, because Jupiter is sitting up there in your 10th house of, you know, career and public standing, right? Like this is what you're known for. This is how the public knows you. And so with Jupiter here up in the 10th house, there could definitely be some really big beginnings for you in terms of education or teaching something or, you know, learning something. And so, and it's something that you're going to be known for, right? Because as a Cancer ascendant specifically, this is the ruler, Jupiter's the ruler of your 9th house of education and teaching. And when it's in your 10th house, it can mean that you're either learning something to do with your career or teaching something to do with your career. And this is going to happen in a really big way. So pay attention over the course of this lunation specifically and, you know, reap the benefits, right? Just be aware that there can be overdoing, overzealous, over committing, over, you know, overdoing things with Jupiter in square with this moon, because that's the only major aspect that is being made to this new moon specifically here. And so then later in the week, do be aware that, you know, as a Cancer rising specifically, there is Mars squaring Pluto. This is happening in your 10th to your 7th. So be aware that there could be arguments, disputes, power and control issues, power struggles to do with your relationships and your career. So just be aware that this could, or even like bosses or people above you or people in positions of power and authority over you. And so just be cognizant of that and be aware of that. You know, are you the one that is being manipulative? Are you the one that is being out of control? Are you the one that is being crunchy? Or, you know, is this something that's coming at you from the outside? So just be conscious and be aware that it's just how it is. unfortunately. You can seize hold of this and take action on getting very deep with your relationships in like a really profound way, because Pluto, especially Pluto's been transiting your descendant here for, since 2008. So this has been happening for a long time and this, Mars square Pluto happens in specifically these signs every couple of years because of Mars retrograde cycle and the fact that it takes 2 years for Mars to go around the zodiac. This could be very transformational in terms of your career and your relationships with people in general. Just be aware that it's not the nicest of energy, and it's going to be very intense. It's going to feel very intense. And as a Cancer, I mean, you're feeling by nature. So it could be really, really intense for you. But new beginnings, man. New beginnings. Okay. For Leo and for Leo rising, this new moon is happening in your 12th house. There could be something that is seated here behind the scenes, something to do with education, because Jupiter is in your 9th house. This could also be something to do with moving as well. Like maybe there's private conversations that are happening behind the scenes where you are going to be moving somewhere, where you're going to be like moving home, or you're going to be leaving somewhere, or there could be, letting go of some old vice or old self-sabotaging behavior or something like that. But here for you in the 12th house, this could also be a new beginning in terms of like your spiritual practice, the things that, that nurture your soul, right? Because this is the 12th house from your ascendant. This is what nurtures your entire being, right? So there is that as well. And with this square to Jupiter in the 9th house, this could also be, learning or teaching or education of some kind to do with spiritual practices, because Jupiter does have associations with, religion, dogma, spirituality, all things like that. And I am blurry. Okay, there we go. So that's that. And then later in the week, there is also some really crunchy energy going on from your 9th to your 6th house. So there could be power and control issues in your daily life. There could be power, and just be aware that the 6th house too, with Pluto transiting here, the 1st and the 6th have associations with body itself. So just be aware that there could be be careful, right? So be careful in your travels, be careful in what you're doing. There could definitely be issues surrounding power and control with colleagues and coworkers to do with education, or there could be power and control issues, with traveling or moving, like I said earlier, with the new moon and Jupiter being here as well, expanding on all of that. There could be some crunchiness here. Just be aware and be conscious if you are the one that is being unreasonable and over the top, or if this is something that's coming at you from the outside. So just be conscious of that. Be aware that this energy is there. And this could, because Mars is in your 9th house, this is something could really activate your dogma, right? Like activate your belief systems about, God, the universe, the world around you. Your like long-standing beliefs about something could be upset right now. Or this could even be arguments and disputes with, Pluto and Capricorn business. It could very well be that as well. So just so you're aware. Okay. And then for Virgo and for Virgo rising, this new moon, Virgo, is happening in your 11th house. Hopes, wishes, dreams, long-term goals and plannings, people that you associate with by choice, the people that you align yourself with, the causes that you can get behind, right? That humanitarian kind of thing going on. And so with Jupiter here in square, I mean, this could be loans, this could be money associated, money from like an outside source, or money even through partnership to come in and help you achieve long-term goals, long-term profits and things like that as well. just because, Cancer is your 11th house, this is like your long term. This is like where you see yourself. This is your 5-year goal, your 10-year goal, your 20-year goal. This is where you see where you want to go and what you want to do, right? And then, so the 8th house is also joint finances, taxes, inheritance, insurance, other people's money, loans, debt, things like this. So there could definitely be like really big things happening for your long-term goals right now, but it's also going to take a lot of money to get it going, to get it done, to do it the way that you want to do it, right? Be aware too that there could be some power and disputes or power struggles in terms of things that you do just because you love to do them. Maybe your children, fun, play, joy. There could be power struggles maybe with children or over children, with Mars later in the week in square to Pluto from your 8th to your 5th. So just be aware of that there could definitely be some crunchiness, some things going on there that maybe are a little more cutthroat or a little more objectively intense, and not necessarily a time to really like lose your cool. So I would say be aware whether or not you are the one that is being over the top, or this is coming in from an outside source, right? So just be aware of where this is coming from, because everyone's going to be feeling this in different ways. So yeah, just be cognizant of that and be aware. For Libra and for Libra rising, this new moon is happening in your 10th house, your public career, standing, reputation, right? This is how the public knows you. This is, the top of your chart, the height of your life, really, of your career too. So, right? And this is happening in square with Jupiter in your 7th house, of relationships, of clients, of one-to-one partnerships. So whatever is seated here at this new moon with, with this new moon in your 10th house of your career, there's definitely some really interesting things going on in partnership as well. And maybe you do something in your career, like especially if you have clients or you take on clients, this could see you maybe biting off a little more than you can chew and having to kind of retract and retrace your steps later on once Jupiter goes retrograde after. But for right now, like this is really expanding on and big new beginnings in relationship to other people. This could also be like a new beginning for you if some of you are getting married right about now. There could definitely be some interesting developments there with Jupiter here in the 7th house. So there is that. Yeah, because Jupiter also rules like your 6th house of like work and colleagues and things like that. And it also rules your 3rd house of like commerce and communication and things like that. So there could be like communications too in partnership, to do with your career, to do with something new that's going on in your career or something new that you're launching in your business. So that is that. Oh, and then the next one I'm going to talk about is a little bit crunchier. There could be arguments, disputes, power struggles, intensity on the home front and in relationship to other people as well, because Mars is in your 7th house squaring Pluto in your 4th house later in the week, and so this could cause some power and control issues to do with the home, with family, with property, with contracts, agreements, and negotiations to do with property even. There could definitely be some power disputes there. So be aware of that and be cognizant of that, and be aware of whether or not you are the one that is being over the top. I mean, you're a Libra. Obviously, if you're over the top, there's a good reason, but be aware of whether or not it's you or it's something that's coming in from an outside source. And then for Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, this new moon is happening in your 9th house of travel, education, teaching, your worldview. Like maybe your worldview is shifting, right? Like, you don't know. I don't know. Anyway, this can play out any number of ways. But you know, this is new beginnings here in your ninth house. And so maybe you're getting the travel bug and you decide that you want to travel. There could be something like that. Or maybe like if you're in some type of teaching role or something like that too, this could be even, I mean, with this square to Jupiter, this square to Jupiter is happening in your sixth house of colleagues, co-workers, subordinates, people that work for you. So there could definitely be maybe a little too much of that energy, and we're going to have to kind of rein it back in a little bit. Thinking of something that's going on right now and kind of fits. So, but there could definitely be some, you know, over the top kind of developments going on, like seeding something new in terms of teaching or learning or travel. And there's something going on in your day-to-day life that is like really expanding and really like blowing up right now. Something that you're truly passionate about, right? Because Jupiter does rule your fifth house of like what brings you joy, fun, play, things like that. So there's definitely there's definitely some things going on here in terms of bringing that in as well. Maybe you're having too much fun on a daily basis and you're going to need to rein that back in, you know, around the time of this new moon to be able to do the things that you need to do. But I mean, this could also set off kind of new fun, new play on a daily basis for you as well with this new moon here. Later in the week, though, there is going to be a square to Pluto, you know, Mars and Pluto from the 6th to the 3rd, I believe, yes. And this one isn't the nicest of aspects. Just be aware of whether or not you're the one that's being over the top with power and control issues to do with colleagues, coworkers, subordinates, people in your daily life anyway, and conversations that you're having, because, you know, Mars is in your 6th house and it's squaring Pluto in your 3rd. So this could be colleagues, coworkers, subordinates, and, you know, conversations. And this is a really crunchy one. I don't really care for this one all that much. It is a passing influence, but it's going to be really intense in the moment, and there's going to be some things that are going to kind of get pretty big there. And just be aware of whether or not you're the one that's being unreasonable and over the top, or if this is something outside of you coming at you. So just be aware. Be aware. For Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising, this new moon is happening in your 8th house. This new moon in your 8th house is happening, you know, maybe there's something new that's going on. Maybe there's even debt that you're letting go, right? This could be that as well. Like maybe there's some debt that you're letting go of, or there is some debt that you're deciding that you want to get into. Maybe you're taking out a loan. Maybe you are deciding that you want to get some money, or this could be inheritances as well. This could be insurance, taxes, things like that. You know, it's an interesting house, for sure. It has to do with, you know, money, other people's money, things like that. And then with, you know, I mean, your chart ruler, this is Jupiter, in square with this in your 5th house, there could definitely be some power and control issues surrounding children, surrounding romance or romantic partners like boyfriend, girlfriends. There could definitely be, maybe you yourself, because this is your chart ruler, are deciding that you want to have more fun in your day-to-day. And there's, you know, there's this kind of power struggle there. In that 8th. But I mean, a new moon, a new beginning, it could be letting go even of old power struggles to do with relationship or things like that, or, you know, healing of some kind. Maybe there's some type of healing that's going on for you specifically. So there is that. And then later in the week there will be a square from, goodness gracious, a square from your 5th house with Mars to your 2nd house of finance with Pluto. So be aware of this one. This one is kind of crunchy in terms of like what maybe overindulging. Maybe you've overindulged a little bit with things that you love to do because you love to do them, like, you know, maybe partying a little bit too much, and now the bottom dollar is being affected, right? Because this is money that you are making, that you are bringing in. So just be aware that there could be power struggles there between you wanting to do what you want to do because you want to do it and the funds that are available to you. So that is definitely coming in for you. And just be aware of whether or not you're being the one unreasonable in this instance or in this moment, or whether or not this is something that's coming in from an outside source at you. Be aware. And then for Capricorn and for Capricorn rising, this new moon is happening in your 7th house. Lucky Capricorn. Getting new beginnings in terms of partnerships and long-term relationships, marriage partners, things like that. You know, this is happening in square with Jupiter. And Jupiter is in your, goodness, your 4th house. And so there could definitely be, I mean, this could be contracts for a new home. This could be, you know, contracts and agreements for the purchase or the sale of a home for you. If that is something that is applicable to you, this could be even like a new lease for a home, something like that. Not just purchase, but also leasing, right? Things like that. But this is definitely like, maybe though, just be aware that this is kind of, maybe the home is a little bit bigger than what you expected. And so you might have to rein it in a little later, but this new beginning for you in partnership is just beautiful. The only major aspect that's being made is the square to Jupiter, and so while it doesn't bring anything necessarily bad, it can bring an overabundance of the things, right? Everything in moderation, including moderation, as the saying goes. You're no stranger to that one. And then later in the week, there will be power struggles on the home front with, you know, Mars in your 4th house squaring Pluto in your 1st. So be aware that this could be power struggles to do with the home and family as well as yourself. Be aware of whether or not you're the one that's being unreasonable and crunchy, or if this is something coming in from an outside source at you. So that is definitely something to pay attention to. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this new moon is happening in your 6th house of daily work, routines, where you kind of slave away to make a pittance, right? This is also to do with your physical body. Be aware, I have seen new moons in the 6th house with the Apogee, which is what this is with, bring on some type of illness or sickness, because the 6th house, not just the 1st house, but the 6th house as well, do have associations with the physical body and health and vitality as well. So just be aware of that, and be aware, you know, that this new beginning that's happening in your 6th house, this is where you're showing up in service to other people. This is where you are showing up in service, you know, to others in your life, in your community, for work specifically. And with Jupiter in square from Aries, this is happening in your 3rd house. So this could be new work in your community, or this could even be, like with Jupiter, it does have associations with education. So this could be learning a new skill that you're going to be needing to utilize for work. Or for your job, or the new job that's coming in is going to require you to go through certain types of training in order to, you know, take action. So be aware though that later in the week, and that's just, you know, that's just one thing. This could also be conversations surrounding health, wellness, and well-being as well. And or resources, because Jupiter does rule your 2nd house of resources as well. So this is definitely, I think, more work related than anything, or even it could be more health related. So just be aware of that. With Mars in square with Pluto, Mars is in your 3rd house of thinking, speaking, communicating, writing, things like that. In square with Pluto in your 12th house, things that are hidden behind the surface, beneath the surface, in the unconscious. This could be dreams, nightmares, things like that. Be aware that this could be something that's deeply psychologically hidden, because, you know, Pluto is in the 12th house, and it's, I mean, it's Capricorn. You guys have a harder time accessing like the things that you utilize to sabotage or accessing your dreams, accessing, you know, spirituality or things like that. But be aware that this could be power struggles, kind of conversations that maybe have to do with spirituality, or this could be conversation, behind the scenes conversations that are major power struggles. Be aware of whether or not you're the one that is being completely unreasonable, or this is an outside influence coming in at you. So be aware and be cognizant of that, because, you know, it can show up any number of ways, but it can also show up that we are the ones that are being unreasonable. So there's that. Pisces, there we go. So for Pisces and for Pisces rising, this new moon is happening in your 5th house. Lucky Pisces. This new moon is happening in the house of joy, fun, play, romance, sex, all of the above, right? Children are seen here in the 5th house as well. So for you specifically, Pisces, this could be a new beginning for your child. This could be a new beginning, you know, this could be with the square to Jupiter in your 2nd house. This, and that's the only aspect that this, you know, new moon is making. This could be taking a hobby, taking something that you love to do just because you love to do it, and making it lucrative. And so you're focused with Jupiter here in the 2nd house because Jupiter is your chart ruler, right? Your traditional chart ruler. And so with it being here in the 2nd house, you're focusing on what it is that you value. You're focusing on your money. You're focusing on your material and your possessions and even your value systems. And so maybe there's something new that's happening, you know, for you in terms of lighting you up and bringing you joy, or even something new that's happening in your child's life, and it might require money, right? So there is that. Just know later in the week that there will be some crunchy energy to do with Mars in your 2nd house, squaring Pluto in your 11th house of friends, social networks, people that you surround yourself with by choice, altruistic kind of humanitarian pursuits as well. And with Mars here in your 2nd house, there could be money associated with this. Don't lend your friends money this week. I would say definitely do not do that. You know, and maybe be aware that if there are power struggles with friends, specifically to do with money or something it is that you value, be aware of whether or not you're the one that's being unreasonable and kind of crunchy, or whether or not this is like an outside influence coming at you. So that is what I have for you for this forecast. And so I do hope that you all have a wonderful week, and I hope you all are aware of what's going on and you're able to navigate this energy with grace and ease. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.